The moment you realize your children no longer want you in their lives is like someone violently ripping the air from your lungs. 1 second you are breathing, and the next you are drowning in plain sight. I know this because I lived it. I was standing at my son's front door on Christmas Day with my arms full of carefully wrapped gifts when he looked me in the eye and said, "I am sorry, but I think you have the wrong house. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment where you are watching from. My name is Emily, and this is my story. I was always the type of mother who would move mountains for her children. When my husband died unexpectedly 19 years ago, leaving me alone with 2 teenagers and a mortgage I could barely pay, I did not crumble. I could not do that. Michael was 15 and Sarah was 13. They needed stability. They needed a mother who could be both parents. So I became that person. I sold our family home in the suburbs. We moved into a modest 2-bedroom apartment, and I took night shifts at the public hospital where I worked as a nurse. I cut my own hair. I learned to fix the plumbing by myself, and I drove the same car for 12 years because every extra dollar went toward my children's future. I wanted them to have the opportunities their father and I had dreamed of giving them, and they had them. I will give them that. Michael graduated with a degree in business administration, married his college girlfriend Jessica, and got a job at a financial firm in Chicago. Sarah followed a similar path. She graduated in marketing and moved to Seattle to take a position in marketing. I was proud, so proud that it did not bother me that they almost never called, or that my birthdays went unacknowledged, and that invitations to visit them were scarce. They are busy building their lives. I told my sister Diane when she questioned their absence. That is what we raised them for. But at 58 years old, after 33 years of being a mother, I was tired. Tired of being an afterthought. Tired of the tone of obligation in their voices when they called. Tired of sending checks every month to help with mortgages, car payments, and daycare. Money that I could have been saving for my own retirement. Money that was almost never acknowledged except for a quick text. Received, thanks. Still, I persisted because that is what mothers do right. We give and give until there is nothing left. That December, I made a decision. I was going to spend Christmas with my grandchildren. Michael and Jessica had 2 beautiful children waiting for me. 6-year-old Chloe and 4-year-old Matthew, whom I had only seen a few times. Sarah was expecting her first child in March. I wanted to be part of their lives, not just a signature on a card or a voice on the phone. I called Michael in early December with my heart racing as I rehearsed what I was going to say. "Mom," he answered, distracted. I could hear the noise of his office in the background. "Hello, son. I will not take much of your time. I just wanted to know if I could come over this Christmas. I would love to see the kids open their gifts." There was a pause, followed by the sound of a door closing. When he spoke again, his voice was lower. "Christmas. I do not know, Mom. Jessica's parents are coming and we do not have much space. I can stay at a hotel." I offered immediately. "I will not be in the way." Another pause let me talk to Jessica, and I will let you know. He never did. After a week of silence, I called again. This time, it went straight to voicemail. I left a message making sure my voice sounded steady. "Michael, it is Mom. I just wanted to know if you talked to Jessica about Christmas. I found an affordable hotel nearby. Call me when you can." 3 days later, I received a text. "Christmas is fine. Dinner at 3. No need for a hotel. You can use the guest room." I was filled with joy. I booked my flight immediately. I spent hours choosing gifts for the children. I even treated myself to a new emerald green dress with a modest neckline that matched my silver hair. I wanted to look good for the family photos. The flight to Chicago on Christmas Eve was turbulent, but my spirits were high. I took a taxi from the airport to the address Michael had given me, a colonial-style house in a quiet residential area. The neighborhood looked like a postcard with manicured lawns and Christmas lights adorning the houses. I felt a surge of pride. My son had made it. I arrived shortly after 2 in the afternoon, dragging my suitcase up the freshly swept path. I saw movement behind the frosted glass of the front door. My heart was pounding as I rang the doorbell, smoothing my coat with nervous hands. The door opened, and there was Michael. His expression went from surprise to something I could not name. He was taller than I remembered, with his dark hair already speckled with gray at the temples. He looked so much like his father that my throat closed up. Mom, the coldness of his greeting. The flight arrived earlier than expected. I really wanted to see you all. He did not move to let me in. Behind him, I could hear laughter and Christmas music. We did not expect you until tomorrow, he said, positioning himself to better block the entrance. I frowned, feeling confusion cover me like a cold mist. Your message said dinner at 3. Today is Christmas. Christmas dinner is tomorrow, he corrected with an impatient tone. Today is Christmas Eve. I took out my cell phone with hands trembling a little and found the message. Look here, it says. Christmas is fine dinner at 3. He barely looked at the screen. That was not what I meant. Look, Mom, today is just family. Jessica's parents are here, and we are going to do something just for us. Tomorrow is when we do the big dinner with the extended family. Extended family. The words hurt more than they should have. I swallowed hard, forcing a smile. That is fine. I can come back tomorrow. Could you direct me to my hotel, the one you said I did not need to book because I could stay in the guest room? Something crossed his face. Guilt, maybe. The guest room is not ready. We thought you were coming tomorrow. I stood there with my suitcase in hand while reality began to settle in. Then where am I supposed to stay tonight? He had the decency to look uncomfortable. There is a Holiday Inn about 15 minutes from here. I can call to see if they have a room available. Behind him, a little voice asked, Daddy, who is at the door? Michael turned, immediately changing his body language. Nobody, honey. Go back to Grandma and Grandpa. Nobody. That was what I was to my own son. Nobody. I took a step back. Dignity was the only thing keeping me standing. Do not bother with the hotel. I will figure it out. Mom, he started. I interrupted him. Merry Christmas, Michael. Give my love to the kids. I turned around and walked away. The suitcase felt heavier with each step. I did not look back, not even when I heard the door close. I made it to the end of the block before the tears came hot and furious against my cold cheeks. It was there, sitting on a bench at a bus stop under a freezing drizzle, when I decided I would not go to a hotel. I would come back the next day as planned. Maybe it had been a genuine misunderstanding. Maybe tomorrow would be different. It was not. When I returned the next day at exactly 2:45 in the afternoon, dressed in my new emerald green dress and with my arms full of gifts, Michael opened the door and said those unforgivable words. I am sorry. I think you have the wrong house. For a moment, I thought he was joking, a cruel joke that would end in laughter and apologies. But his eyes were cold and unfamiliar. Behind him, I caught a glimpse of a Christmas tree, surrounded by gifts, a table set for dinner, and the back of Jessica's head arranging something on the sideboard. Michael, I said with a voice barely audible. It is me. It is Mom. He did not flinch. I think you have the wrong address. No, Michael lives here. And he closed the door. I stood there paralyzed while the world seemed to tilt. This could not be happening. Not to me. Not after everything. I was halfway down the path when my phone rang. Michael's name appeared on the screen. I answered with hope fluttering in my chest. Mom. His voice was different now, casual, almost amused. Sorry about that. Jessica's parents are very traditional, and they do not know about, the financial arrangement we have. We want to keep the peace. Financial arrangement, I repeated with foreign words in my mouth. Yes, the monthly support. Look, why don't you go back to your hotel? I will call you tomorrow when everything calms down. I do not